We are reading through the book of Matthew this month, each day taking the next chapter. And with each day, I am posting a video clip, just giving some things to think about for that chapter. I'm not going in depth, not sharing every detail, but trying to give a couple of nuggets, things to think about. Today, we are on Matthew 26, nearing the end of the book of Matthew. And in Matthew 26, it's the last couple of days Jesus is alive before being crucified. The night before he is betrayed, when he is having that last supper with his disciples, things of that nature. In fact, we see that this is where it initiates the Lord's Supper. Often that's the title in most people's Bibles for that section, verses 26 through 30. Jesus institutes the Lord's Supper. Keep in mind, he wasn't doing a religious ceremony. He wasn't in the synagogue or the temple. He was sitting down having a meal with his disciples. And during that, he took bread, blessed it, gave thanks, and then broke it. And then he passed it to all the disciples, saying, "Take and eat. This is my body broken for you." And then he took the cup. He gave thanks and saying, "Drink from this, all of you, for this is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for you for the forgiveness of sins." We often celebrate this communion, we call it now, during a worship service. Sometimes you see it in other special services. But remember, he was just sitting down having a meal with his disciples. What if when you were at your family reunion, having the big feast with your family, you stopped partway through it and took bread and broke it and did so in remembrance of the brokenness of Jesus, and then took a cup and asked God's blessing on that to be reminding us of the forgiveness of sins? What if we did that on Thanksgiving? After all, aren't we thankful for Jesus? You don't need to wait for a religious ceremony. You don't need to wait to be in church or in a worship service. You can have communion with you, with your family, when you are out and about in many occasions, because we are to do this often as a remembrance of Jesus. Now, the other thing I want to highlight later on down is afterwards, later that night, it says that Jesus took the disciples to a place called Gethsemane and says, "Sit here while I go over and pray." Where is this Gethsemane? Sometimes you hear it referred to as a garden, even though that's not really in the text. He knows what's going to happen the next day. It says his soul is in turmoil. And so he wants some place to go where it can be quiet, where he can be alone and talk to God the Father. That makes sense. I mean, we've all had those moments where we just need to calm down. We need to just stop all the craziness in our life and just relax. Have some prayer time with God, have some worship time with God. Just read the Bible, listen to God. Where does Jesus go to do this? He goes to Gethsemane. Now, this is at a time when they're celebrating the Passover feast in Jerusalem. That's important because that's one of 3 times of year when all the Jews in the area would travel to Jerusalem for the occasion. As a result, this city swelled to a huge population for the occasion. As a result, there's literally no room at the inn. People are camping out all over the place. People are sleeping in barns and guest rooms and crammed everywhere they could. So Jesus is on the Mount of Olives, and it's an olive grove is like tiered. And so sure enough, there'd be olive trees all over the groves, and there would likely be people around there too at night. May even be camping, maybe even have bonfires, things like that. So where can you go at night to find some calm and quiet in the midst of a bustling city that is overcrowded for the special feast? He goes to Gethsemane. What that is that's a contraction of two words, Gethsemane. He goes to the press for oil. Because what do you do with olives? You press them to make olive oil. And so you don't take them up to the top of the hill, you bring them down to the bottom. So at the bottom of the hill, the bottom of the Mount of Olives, there would have been oil presses where they would press the olives. And they would do that during the day. So at night, it's empty. He goes to Gethsemane, not to a garden, but to a place at night where he knows it will be quiet, where he knows he can have some alone time with God the Father, there at the Mount of Olives. Where's your place when everything is so hectic around you, when you may be in turmoil with your soul and you truly need to just have some quiet time, some calm time with you and God? Find your Gethsemane and use it.